Hey, Reese. Where are you? Do you know what the best role is? Like in Football Manager. Okay, just get back into your editing cave. I suppose we should find out. I do a lot of things that are objective. This is not. This will be completely subjective. As somebody that spends their life playing Football Manager more than any rational, sane person should. I have, well, I didn't make this. I made this. I, alas, was, I don't want to say too stupid. I have intelligences in certain things. None of them involve using tier maker, though. So I always whipped up a glorious looking tier maker where we are going to put all of the Football Manager roles into 5 tiers. We have the Champions League tier. These are the best of the best. Then we have the Premier League tier. Well, they're not quite the best of the best. They're there. They're good. You know, Burnley's still good. Then there's Liga NOS. It's the top league in Portugal, which is like, you know, you're pretty good. Mad respect, but you're not, you know, you're not in the Premier League. You're not like Jan Vertonghen went there and Otamendi went there after they left the Prem. You know what I mean? Then we have the MLS, which is, well, you're not terrible, but you are, and I enjoy watching you. Then we have the Sunday League, which is for the roles that we hate, with the burning fire of 1,000 suns. And if you're wondering, geez, I wish I could have as much swag as the dude talking right now, there's a link to buy our sweet merch down in the description, and very shortly there will be a St. Patrick's Day special with a couple of extra fun shirts down there, and they're all, as every testimonial has ever said, very soft, which is honestly what matters more than anything, because I value soft clothes more than life itself. Buy shirts, pay for Reese's editor cave, life goes on. Let's get this cracking. Okay. Oh yeah. Dormant on that side. It's okay. Smile through the pain. We start with advance forward. Now, I've grown to love advance forward recently. I found in FM20 Erling Haaland was better at advance forward than he was a complete forward. That's changed my perception. It's got people moving all over the place. Not really. It's just got move into channels and move further forward. But advance forward goes into the Premier League category for me. It's not an elite role. We're going to preserve that rank for the truly spectacular roles out there, but advanced forward is above average for me, even though it's a very common role to use. Next, we have attacking midfielder, which at every position, there seems to be the role that's just malleable. It's just like the role where they stand in that position and do whatever they want because there's no individual player instructions on them, and I respect those, but you can make them whatever you want. So this is obviously going into the middle of the table, Liga NOS, every time. If you want to follow along and do this alongside me, by the way, I will link this table that I all made down in the description. So if you think you're smarter than me and better than me, first of all, how dare you? Second of all, you're probably right. Third of all, I'll see you on Twitter. This means war. Fourth of all, Anchorman. I like a good anchorman. Look, it's a rock solid position. They hold that position in front of the line. They just soak up space. It's what you tell your center backs to do when you need them to play a spell at defensive midfield. It always works for me. It's just so limited in the type of role that if you're playing, you'd probably rather have somebody that's doing somebody else. So I'm putting it in the MLS because it makes me think of, well, some 38-year-old Bastian Schweinsteiger, even though, you know, he's a different role we'll get to later. Close enough. Advanced Playmaker, it's a saucy role, but there's something in Advanced Playmaker that's going to make me put it in Liga NOS. And that's that Advanced Playmakers have shoot less on. They're pure facilitators. They bother me a little bit because of that. Always have. Box-to-box midfielders. Only thing these guys do is just roam from their position more. This guy's running around all the time. I actually have a soft spot for them. I think they fill out formations really well. If you've got specific types of players in other directions, you want a box-to-box midfielder who's just able to drift towards the action and soak up the space. Now to our first center back role, the ball-playing defender. This is the type of center back that you want to have. They essentially take more risks when they're on the ball than your average center back. This means that they're more confident making passes, and that's just better for everybody. So why would that not go into the Premier League? Apparently I'm being too kind so far. That's okay, because ball-winning midfielder is coming up for me, and where box to box is a job-doing midfielder that I like. A ball winner, I'm really fond of different positions at defensive midfield. A ball winner is essentially someone that's just been told to tackle harder, and sometimes they're told to hold their position if you have them on defend. It's an MLS trait all the way. And speaking of roles that are used to fill space. Carrilero, they just stay wider. It's a defensive version of a central midfielder. Absolute dumpster. Get in the bin, never use it. It's only applicable in very specific situations. You have like inverted wing backs and those sorts of things going on. You need an unskilled space eater who steps out wide to shut down the channel. I mean, come on. Get out of my face. Central defender goes into Liga NOS. Standard defensive player. Next, complete forward. Nearly impossible to find somebody to play this role well. They dribble more, they roam from their position, they have to be intelligent positionally, their ability to move, their ability to create, facilitate, score goals. They have to be not only big but also athletic. Obviously, they still have to be clinical, have great control of the ball to do all of these things. They have to do everything. But if you can find somebody to play it, it's obviously one of the best roles in the game. The key is, even if it says they can play it, they actually have to be good at everything for them to be effective at it, or else one of the other striker roles is going to be better for you. Only play complete forward if you've got a dude that's like 15s at everything, right? Harry Kane, even somebody, one of the best strikers in the world, undoubtedly doesn't fit as a complete forward. Erling Haaland doesn't fit as a complete forward because those guys are missing key parts of the game. Harry Kane's first touch and dribbling are not fantastic in Football Manager. Erling Haaland's passing and vision, they're not fabulous in Football Manager, so they're better suited to doing something else. But I just have to, it's Champions League, crown it. Central midfield. This is interesting because the adjustments that you can make by adding extra player instructions, like if I set somebody to a central midfield on support in particular, I go into player instructions, I look to add one, everything is available. I freaking love that. I absolutely love that about the role central midfield as well, because you can turn them into anything that you want. I'm throwing it into the Premier League. Can I put this towards the front? Yes. Okay, cool. I'll stack from the front from now on. Complete wingback. I'm going to surprise a lot of people with this. Yeah, I don't like the roam from position that complete wingback has. That's really the difference between a wingback and a complete wingback. If you're roaming from your position, you're that good at doing that. You're either you are a god. If you're comfortable with that person not only just running the channel, but roaming from their position, you'll probably just want to play another position at that point. Or they're an inverted wingback or something. Deep lying forward. My opinions on this have changed. It's going MLS, and here's why. It has hold position on there. I just don't like that. You're either a target man if you're doing that, or you're a false nine where you're going to pick the ball up and dribble with it. A deep lying forward where you're holding position and looking to facilitate. You're essentially checking in as a backline pressure attacking midfielder. It's just not, I feel like you can find better things to do than that. That being said, I still use it. I'm trying to make it work, but it's MLS for me right now. I said I'd be putting them, there we go. Deep lying playmaker, love this. Great way to take advantage of somebody that's good at facilitating. It has hold position, and so you don't get beat on the counter nearly as much when you're using one of these. Put it in the Premier League. Defensive midfielder is that nonchalant, no particular roles, put the player at this position and move on sort of thing, so it goes right into the middle, no discussion needed. A defensive winger, on the other hand, if you put it on support, it's not terrible, but the hold position on a wide player is just so bad. I tell you not to do that on fullbacks, to have like a fullback on defend, wingback on defend. If you're vulnerable to crosses from deep, which everybody's vulnerable to crosses from deep, defensive wingers do the same thing. But a defensive winger on support is not terrible. When they still cross more often, they still dribble more, they just also look to tackle harder. It's like a pressing forward where on the surface it sounds dumb, but the more you dig into it, it's okay. That's the only thing that keeps a defensive winger out of the bin. And then there's the enganche, which is where you put 40-year-olds with no actual athletic ability left. They don't have to move. They're essentially the pole, the spoke in the middle of the wheel where everybody else is going around them. When Messi's 45 and you sign him in the National League, you play him as an enganche. It serves very little purpose outside of that. You need a very particular type of team to use it anyways. Everybody else has to be running. Next is false nine. Criminally underutilized role that's going straight to the Premier League because false nine just take more risks and dribble more. And because it's on support as a center forward, this person's going to have a less attacking mentality than a normal central forward, but takes more risks and dribble more. It puts a lot of pressure on the back line. You're dropping, you receive the ball, you look to make plays. It is, to me, the primary role if you have a playmaking striker who's not incredible off the ball, first touch and finishing, one of those types of guys, then you want this guy dribbling, passing, creativity, Athleticism's nice. Very applicable. Then fullback. You're probably thinking, he's gonna hate on the fullback. No, a fullback on attack is nice. And there's really nothing particularly wrong with fullbacks. There's just something wrong with their cousin. Fullbacks on defend, I hate. The hold position thing, I hate it. Goalkeepers, get in the MLS. Get out of here. Everybody wants a sweeper these days. Halfback, it's a nice position. It's a deep lying playmaker, essentially the type of guy that plays almost behind the center back tandem, can really help in a tiki-taka type of possession, but I think it's a little overutilized by everybody. I'm gonna throw it right into Liga NOS. Then to inside forward, which is I'm shock and awe. It's in the MLS tier because it does its job. It just really forces the person to do one thing. Hyper aggressive wings. It's a great way to get goals out of wings, but I feel like you might want to go with an inverted winger and then just maybe add on things that you think a player can do well, because the cross less often just really hurts me. You need an aggressive overlapping fullback to be able to get in there. And I just like somebody that's not actively looking to not get the ball into the middle of the field. I mean, not everybody's Arjen Robben, especially the way it plays out this year. God tier. Absolute God tier role. Inverted wingbacks, God tier. They cut inside, they can get all the way to the edge of the box and score. I've had world best 11 players that played as an inverted wingback. It's so good. And then inverted wingers, who I think are just more versatile versions of inside forwards. It's where you'd put Eden Hazard if you had him. Love them. Premier League. Libero. You can never play it. It's only for players that are central as a defender, but like a libero on attack, I mean, there's just no team that's properly equipped to handle that. If you can get a region that can do it, it's great. It's just so rare I can't put it in a Champions League tier. I can, however, put Metsala there. I don't have to give a reason. It's always been my favorite role. No nonsense. I want no nonsense from the no nonsenses. Just get in there. Sunday League, I'm out. Pressing forward, straight into Liga NOS for me. It is a mid-tier role. The best players in the world are never going to be pressing forwards, but tackling harder, applying serious pressure, and it doesn't limit your ability to play ahead too much. It doesn't like make them not a striker, which people are scared of. It's once you cross into pressing forward, you realize they're fine. Poachers, hate them. Absolutely hate them. The players that end up playing poacher and their star values are always so overvalued because you need like literally 2 attributes to be able to play at a poacher. And so you see like, oh, it's a 4-star striker, amazing, but he's a poacher, so he has finishing and like that's it. And composure and off the ball, and that's it. And anticipation. That's 4 key attributes highlighted. That's insane. Regista's the hyper aggressive type of defensive midfielder. I've just never, have you ever used a successful one? I haven't. Maybe I just haven't had the right player, but like, they just seem to get in the way, right? Because if I want an attacking defensive midfielder out of a 2 defensive mid set, I want somebody else. Raumdeuter, it's rock solid. People hate on it, but if you have one in your team and a couple of other creative players, that drifting around, dribbling less, simple passes stuff, it can work well. Roaming playmaker, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Sweeper keeper, there we go. It's a goal. What do you want from me? Shadow striker, yeah, you know it's God tier. Get out, like come on. FM21, the focus on the center part of the pitch, the unlocking of the attacking midfielder again, and shadow striker's the best way to do it because the defense struggles to handle it like they do in real life. Put a false 9 and a shadow striker on the field together and see what happens. Target man gets a lot of hate. I used it next to an advanced forward in the lower divisions, and it works. Top divisions, argument against it, but holding your position, dribbling less, and holding the ball up, like, it works. Trequartistas, I want to use a successful one, but it is below average for me. The drifting around, it's like aimless. Trequartista is the role that Schweinsteiger gets, the role that Kaká got when he was playing for Orlando City, and he would just kind of roam around, and you're like, well, he's really influencing the game, but he would never touch the ball, you know? And you're like, It's like a Raumdeuter with no funny jokes in press conferences. Now, this is the role, Segundo volante, that can really mess up a defense. Incredibly deep runs that get further forward on a defensive midfielder. What? This is the role that helps you apply midfield pressure when you don't have any center mids. Just better than a Regista for this purpose, and that's really the only time I'd want to use it. Then wingbacks, which I'm putting above average as well, because I just think that they're the second best fullback role behind the very rare and good inverted wingback that you have to find. They have to be good at passing and stuff. A wingback he's an athlete, good work rate, good stamina, decent offense, decent defense, person gets up and down the channel. easy money. Then there's wide midfielder, which actually goes right in the middle because it's one of those roles. It's for a wing in the central midfield that where you can make it whatever you want it. It's just like a free, right? All the player instructions are unlocked. Then winger, which is an above average role, let's be honest. Takes advantage of people that have just a few skill sets, you know, dribbling and crossing and athleticism, and turns them into weapons of mass destruction at times. Wide playmaker, just weird, completely unnecessary, never used it successfully. And there's going to be one person that has, and congratulations, your team lined up specifically for that purpose. You're never lining your team up to use successfully a wide playmaker, so shut up. And the final one, wide target man. This is going to surprise you. I played with a guy nicknamed the Great Wall of China in my Twitch save. He was a wide target man. He had an overlap on the outside and 2 forwards in front of him, and he was outstanding. Held the ball up, let everybody get into position, and then played it off, and we won a lot of games that way. It works, and this works. This is definitive canon. You are not allowed to change one role from any of these positions. If you do, I'll see you in the Discord or on Twitter, or definitely on the next stream. Hopefully by the time this came out, we won the Streamer Showdown. Did this age well? People have been asking for this for a while. The roles have been ranked. Namaste.